Hello there, welcome back to the Sparta campaign Abridged, where in the previous part we wasted a bunch of time trying to take Taurus with various methods and eventually did it. And we also got to work starting to just kill the Romans in field battles. We did win some battles, however we lost too many troops and the enemy can still out-recruit us. So I don't know how much progress we actually made there, and we ended up just waiting to get more troops before we could do anything else. But I did start to think maybe I can use my second army to achieve something, because this second army might now be strong enough with all of the trash troops I've recruited to go after the other Roman settlement to the southwest. So I started going over there. The big downside to this plan is that there's nothing at Taurus, aside from a tiny garrison that is, and also I can't reach the next settlement in one turn, so we have to wait a turn just out in the middle of nowhere. I can also make this attack, I realised, at Beneventum. There's not much there at the moment, so even though my army is still damaged, I think it missed a turn of replenishment for unknown reasons as usual, I can come out and attack this half-dead army from the previous part and the garrison of the town at the same time, and actually take them down in a battle that's to our advantage on the campaign map and balanced in the battle as it tends to be. I wanted to rush forwards to take out the enemy before their garrison reinforcements showed up. This didn't work because a hoplite army can't really rush forwards, of course. Some of their cav decides to rush us. This looks like it's going to go pretty well. They kind of charge into my slingers, but the charge also kind of gets cancelled in a janky sort of way. So not too much bad happens there. And then they're pretty close to my javelineers, and they can take out those heavy cav. And that's fine, their general comes in to attack our main line, and it's going to face a similar fate. We can just focus the unit down with some jabs and get an early general kill, and I think we did, it's not mentioned in the replay. Our cav goes around the right flank and goes to take out the enemy's garrison skirmish units. Pretty much the lowest trash, the easiest stuff to kill. However, my cav are really battered and beaten from previous battles, and we don't have very many left, so they actually kind of do struggle to kill them. In the background we see some troops fading away into the flowers, and that was a mystery that's going to be revealed a bit later, as some enemy units are going off to do something. In the meantime, we can start just killing everything now. Most of what the enemy have on the field are units like Town Guard, low quality units that we can beat with our hoplites, and we have numbers on our side as well, so we can do some surrounds and pounds. Here we've got some guys completely surrounded. Looks like they're refusing to rout so far. A lot of surprising resistance from these low-level enemies. But it all happens in the end, and here's what the enemy's secret project was. They secretly pulled some units out of the fight to come and stand over here. I think we somehow didn't aggro the AI. They were still trying to be defensive and move their units to go sit on that hill. Well, most of their units are by this point trapped in our little encirclement and are getting killed, so that didn't go very well for them in the end. There's the result, a fine battle overall. So after that, the garrison of the town is basically dead, meaning we can kill them right here and also finish off the other army since it comes in as reinforcements, the other unit I should say that was still alive. And altogether, this adds on to the battles we fought in the previous part and makes them come to some sort of achievement. What we're going to do here is pop a good old liberation, because this is a nice distraction for us. We don't have to stay here, we can move on immediately, and those Samnites will then sit around and just be a buffer between us and Rome. This will allow me to focus on things to the north. It would be nice to replenish, we still can't do it for some reason, so we're going to do it the hard way, where you merge units and then re-recruit things, because we are allowed to do it via this method. Again, just more Divide et Impera mysteriousness, not quite sure what's going on. Now moving on, Rome unfortunately calls my bluff with Taurus, because they have tons of ships that can move down and attack it right now. So while it was safe from enemy armies, those ships totally take us by surprise. Well, half surprise anyway. I just kind of hoped something like this wouldn't happen. I guess I hadn't ruled it out. I actually did fight this battle, thinking maybe there'll be some kind of glitch or something and we'll just win, like, somehow, as you sometimes can. In this case though, they just landed troops and killed us, so nothing much there. We lose the city. Unfortunate, but the enemy do have the city now very poorly defended, which we can potentially use. Looks like they're rushing armies down towards the south end of Italy, so they clearly want to clear things up down there. I decided to just pull back the army that was at Taurus to go and retake it. We can do that easily, and we can even market this as a genius scheme to lure some of their ships into a land battle and then die, which is what happened just there. So that's good. We ended up trading the city for a turn for a bunch of enemy units. Probably a bad thing, because if I had anything under construction in the city, any of the conversions going on, they would have been cancelled by that loss. Anyway, from now on, we're just going to sit here behind the walls, especially with it looking like the enemy are sending armies towards us. So we just sit there and see what happens. And what I want to do is head north from Rome with the main army and take out another of Rome's regions. This is dangerous because Rome itself isn't that heavily defended. We only have a partial garrison. So it all depends how much of a distraction our new Samnite allies can provide. If they can just keep Rome occupied, then we can have the 2 turns it will take to go and liberate someone to our north and then come back and keep Rome safe. That's the hope anyway. Rome has already declared war on my Samnite allies, so there's certainly the potential for them to be distracted by attacking them. Anyway, you can see I eventually go for all this. I move north and just auto-resolve that settlement. The result was okay enough, not that good really. But yes, we pop the liberation. So that's another front we don't have to worry about. Now we can go back down to Rome, and there are now fewer directions that are potential ones the enemy can attack down. In theory, they can now only attack down that road from the north, but that of course assumes that our Samnite allies won't die, and in the Rome turn, they indeed just go in and absolutely outspam them. The main problem though is that they also move right on and attack us, so overall the extent to which it distracted the enemy or delayed them, created some sort of buffer, is very minimal because here they are at Rome with 2 stacks and a general. However, while the balance bar looks bad, their leading army only has 1 unit in it. That means they can't use ladders because it's not an infantry unit. Plus everything else is coming in as reinforcements, and I thought, you know what? This is another case where maybe it will just glitch out or something. It often does. Maybe we can just somehow win without actually fighting the enemy. Here's all they can do to start with. Their initial cav unit is throwing torches at our gate, but we've got our slingers and the gate towers to take this cav unit out pretty fast, so we just killed their general. And that's the end of the first wave, but it's the second 2 waves that matter a lot more. The question is, will they attack multiple gates? Will they go and pick up the ladders on the other side of the map? And the answer to both of those questions is no. I thought they were going to attack this gate here. They're setting up with a few units next to it. Maybe they're waiting there for somebody to come and start attacking the gate. Where the enemy's general attacked first seemed to be their main focus. They brought their initial units over here and started throwing torches at the gate. This unit is throwing them at an awkward angle, and many of the torches are hitting the wall beside the gate. Plus it's raining, which reduces the accumulation of fire damage, which is the damage type it's doing. That means the gate will last for abnormally long. And that of course means our abnormally strong towers will be taking out enemies. When it became clear that the enemy were just going to spam into this gate, I started repositioning troops, ready for an attack from this direction. But you can notice here I'm not bringing troops over to the gate. I'm kind of preempting the fact the enemy probably will get through the gate at some point, so I'm setting up a position near some other towers, ready for when the enemy get inside. They do start to do some better attacks, with units throwing more directly into the gate and getting more damage. However, back at the other gate, all the units that set up here are just dying because none of them actually attacked the gate in the end. The gate's fine. These guys are just glitching out, so we've done it, a nice glitch in our favour. They'll all gradually be killed by the tower, and at this stage we've probably already taken out like a stack's worth of the enemy troops. There are supposed to be 40 units here. It doesn't look like that many are still on the field, but yes, they're still spamming that initial gate with more and more stuff, and they do have enough stuff to open it. But then I move through with my 1 healthy unit, my citizen militia, to just block the gate. We can slap them in hoplite phalanx formation to make them last as long as possible, and then we wait while preparing positions for their inevitable defeat, as you can see back here. This initial street blockade is actually not in a very good place, as we'll see in a moment. But yes, the citizen militia hold out for a decently long time, and of course the whole time they're there, this big blob of enemies is not only draining all of their stamina by having the entire thing technically be in a melee, but they're being hit by the tower bolts, draining their health and numbers and morale. So we just milk this for all it's worth and see how many enemies we can kill. Obviously these citizen militia aren't going to last that long because they are a low level unit and they don't need to lose that many of their troops to rout. So the enemy forced their way through that gate in the end. The gate's also dropping boiling oil, but it doesn't appear to do anything. Normally it sets guys on fire. For whatever reason it's not happening right now. But yes, we do lose the gate. The last of the tower bolts go off, but we've easily taken out 3/4 of the enemy's army at this stage. The entire area is covered in bodies, a whole bunch of stuff already routed and left. So it's actually looking pretty good. The balance bar's not even that bad as we go into the final part of the battle. The issue is that the balance bar is referring to things like our citizens and levied spears, who are absolutely terrible and are worse than the balance bar implies. So we need to fall back, as you saw me doing just there, to have our last stand battle be in range of some more towers. And as it happens, those towers do make a difference. They start pounding away at the enemy as they attack me, so our last little dregs of an army is able to hold out for long enough to kill enough of the enemy, to cause a chain rout, because so much of the stuff outside the town already died. We don't have to kill that much of the stuff that got inside to win the battle. And there you go, this actually ends in a close victory. Didn't really expect that, but we got away with it somehow. We actually didn't need to win that battle. Because the enemy only attacked with one unit, that one unit would have moved inside and been vulnerable to a night attack in the next turn, so we probably would have taken Rome back instantly if we lost it, but keeping it's better, and the fact we killed about 4,000 Roman troops during that cheeky tower defense battle is pretty handy as well. In fact, we can capitalize on the enemy's casualties by moving in to finish them off. I have enough movement points to actually move all the way into their pile of armies here, and that's because the Rome part of the map doesn't cost any movement to move through, so we technically didn't move very far. It just looked like we did, or maybe it's the other way around. Something, 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 here we are. And we can just night battle the weakest of these groups and immediately wipe it out, thus cementing some extra casualties for the enemy after their disastrous attack. The downside to doing this is that now I'm standing in the zone of control of the town, so I have to attack it in the game's rules. So I make this attack. Well, I don't have to attack it, I should say. I have to besiege it at least. I actually considered doing this attack because we would likely win, but then I was worried that the other units outside would come in and exploit us being in a weakened state to defeat us. So we're going to play this super careful and just go back to Rome again and continue defending. Once again, I start looking around, trying to find some sort of indication for what I need to do to get my replenishment back. It might be because while we do have enough population to replenish some of our units, we can't do all of them, or something, so that it cancels them all. Not quite sure what the system is. Anyway, we stand around. Here comes Rome's turn. They move a stack to besiege Taras. That's fine because we have troops inside and a bit of a garrison there, and of course walls. And that's about all they achieve. They have tried to do something, as we quickly learn, but they've made a bit of a mistake here. They sent a couple of stacks towards Rome. I think they were going to raid our territory. They ended up raiding their own territory, and they're currently not making any money off it as a result. Good work from these generals. It's not going very well for Rome right now. We can step in and further exploit the situation by night battling them one at a time. So, the enemy are now taking enormous casualties. Over the last couple of turns, we've actually taken out a few stacks, and as you might note, my army's in really good condition because while it said I wasn't going to get replenishment, I did, and I got like a 30-something% replenishment as well. So we actually have loads of troops for this turn. The enemy have reduced troops after taking so many battle losses recently, and we can just keep going with night attacks to get easy battles for ourselves. Here I don't even really need to do the night attack because the garrison reinforcing is so weak, but I thought I might as well fight them separately. That's a balance bar that I would love to auto-resolve, and in the base game you probably could, but in this case we need to fight it manually. No hoplite tactics for this one. I'm getting more and more confident that just using hoplites as a spear unit is the secret to Divide et Impera because of all the changes it makes to hoplites. It actually makes them quite a bit weaker than maybe they were meant to be. Or they might be trying to be very historically accurate because the whole thing with hoplites is that the downsides outweigh the upsides to being in that tight formation, and that's why people started not doing it in real life. So maybe the game is simulating that for me as I decide to not use hoplite phalanx. Anyway, amid this laggy fight, the enemy general has got tucked into the back of an enemy blob. I've got my slingers throwing uphill into that general to try and take him out. Plus I have my jav cav coming around to throw some jabs in from behind. And again, the general sniping strategy seems to be pretty successful, mainly because the AI tends not to do anything too clever with the general. It just throws them in like a normal unit, and then they get stuck and you can kill them. That's worked a lot in this campaign so far. On the right flank, our general is trying to push through some enemy infantry, and our cav are fighting some enemy skirmish infantry. Very slowly, we're in the woods, and we've got a lot of shock cav who aren't very good in melee, but something vaguely good will happen there. On the left, we're dominating the infantry fight. We've got these guys here totally surrounded. We're taking out the few cav the enemy have left over here, and I've got some jabs just throwing into the backs of the enemy's blobs. That's going to inflict hundreds of casualties, and now we just need to bring this one in by closing around their army more and more. Here's an actual use of the phalanx, and you can see how a lot of the unit just isn't doing anything. So not only does it almost half your attack stat, it reduces the number of units that are fighting each other, the number of models I should say, which reduces your unseen but all-important stat, your DPS, by an unknown but massive amount. Anyway, the enemy soon chain rout as we gradually crush them in there, and that's the end of that one. We barely took any losses proportional to the enemy. That's an absolutely amazing fight, and at this stage, Rome's in trouble. We've kind of evened the odds now. They don't have more troops than us anymore, which was the problem for most of our Italia campaign. We quickly auto-resolved the town. I considered actually taking the town. I thought maybe it's time for us to move in here. However, I didn't really want to. At first it was because I still wanted to go back to Rome and then go north. But I quickly realized we have a lot of our movement points left. We could go and do a more bold move, go and attack the next town to the north of Beneventum, because there's not that much in the way. First, it's the survivors of the previous battle. We can kill them with a night attack to stop the enemy from reinforcing. Again, night attack remains the most exploitable and powerful ability in pretty much all of the Total Wars in which it appears. So that's another easy win with 0 casualties. That's what I like to see, a nice generous auto-resolve. I then messed about thinking maybe I would do an ambush outside this town, but the long story short on that is that I decided to just attack it in the end. The balance bar's not that good, but I thought maybe it's lying because they have so many garrison units, as it often is. Normally I would show this battle right now. However, I've been cutting out so much footage from this and my Stellaris campaign I'm also doing that I just can't keep up, so I have to cut things short this time. We'll start off the next part with this battle, and if we take out the enemy in this battle, there's not going to be much left to stop us from taking over all of the Romans' remaining territory.